Hi guys, welcome to night 9 of my 13 nights of Halloween. Today I have another adaptation versus book. I wonder what I'll be talking about today. I don't want to be buried. In Pet Sematary. Yes, I am talking about this. And just for the record, I'm not even go with Pet Sematary 2. Not talking about that. It does not exist. So I think I'll go over the synopsis first because it's basically the same for the two movies and the book. So you basically follow the creeds. Dad is a doctor, takes a new job at a local university, and they all move to rural Maine. Beautiful house, little community. They meet one of the neighbors that is amazing and takes the dad under their wing. And close to the backyard, there's also this very interesting pet cemetery, but there's also a burial ground. And things that go there sometimes come back, but not quite the same. So this is a great book about grief. We explore how different people have different coping mechanisms to deal with that, death. And also it poses a very interesting moral question that I think everyone that has lost a loved one has asked themselves at one point or another. If you could bring back someone from the dead, would you? No matter the cost. So in it, I think the Creed's first experience with the burial ground that is haunted and basically run by Wendigo is through Judd, and his first personal experience with it is when their cat Church dies. So Church comes back, is not quite the same, but when their young has an accident and dies, you wonder, should I bury my son and get him back and take the risk that he might not be as he seems? And obviously, Louis' decision as a doctor has a lot of scientific reasoning beyond this. The way he deals with grief is on the colder side, only because he has, deep knowledge of human anatomy. And his depiction of grief, everybody's really. His, Rachel, the mom, and the Dora, Ellie, is gut-wrenching and quite honest. So all the trigger warnings for this, if grief is not something that you can really deal with, do not read this book. But if you can work through it or you have an experience yourself, I highly recommend it. The book is amazing, to the point that it's actually one of the few Kings I like. And I had remembered it being much shorter than it actually is. And I still read it with a lot of excitement. It is a masterpiece. It tugs at me. When it gets scary, it gets scary. But it's also the kind of book that you know what's coming, but you want to see it for yourself and you hope for the happy ending, and it hasn't. And I'm not going to bring it here at this moment, the discussion of grief and things like that. But I wonder, have you ever asked yourself if you bring someone from the dead, if you could? It's tempting. even though, as the book says, sometimes dead is better. As the premise is basically the same, the book is definitely a 5 mustache read. If you're afraid of long books, there's a recent audiobook narrated by Michael C. Hall. His narration is amazing, so you have that option too. And I would say that I definitely recommend it. As far as the movie goes, we have Pet Sematary, the 1989 movie directed by Mary Lambert, and I gave it 4 stars. I think, obviously, especially with a long book such as, most of King's, and the way that King develops characters and he puts things in his books that you always wonder, how are they ever gonna turn that into a visual experience through a movie? But people most times do have the ability to do so. And I think as far as adaptations goes, with the job they had at hand, the 1989 movie did a really good job. Of course, there are changes, but there has been workarounds and they kind of made sense to the movie. If you ever just compare the movie to the book and you want a replica, you're always going to be disappointed. So go into it expecting a great movie that is very faithful, but it also has its creative licenses to make it work. The one thing that I was most worried about is Norma Judd's wife is not in this, and she's such a strong component in the novel, but I think they did a pretty good work around that in here. Is it like the book? No. Are there differences? Yes, but the essence is the same. So this is a very satisfying watch. It is a good movie, even though, it was from 1989. So don't expect the best effects, but it's amazing. The acting was on point by everyone. It was just as haunting. It was just as intense and just as emotional. And I think it was very successful in its adaptation. Now, we have Pet Sematary, a 2019 movie, directed by Kevin Koch and Dennis Widmeyer. It really changed a lot of things, including a major plot point in the end. And acting was good. Let's see if I can say that today. Cinematography was okay. Some of the effects were not that bad. The girl that plays Ellie, her acting was amazing. Let's put it around there as it was the original one. The acting was actually very, very good. But it fell flat. It didn't sell me as a horror movie. It didn't sell me as an adaptation. And I think it focused so much on trying to achieve the horror aspect that, in my opinion, at least for this one, completely missed the mark on the grief, which is the best part, and for me what makes Pet Sematary such a unique book and experience. So it ended up being 2 stars. I don't know if I said that before or not, but let's repeat it if you haven't made it. Can I live without this? Absolutely. If you haven't watched it, I consider yourself free of this obligation. I've watched it for you. I'm not just telling you can skip. Even though maybe some of the younger generation will enjoy it for the way that it's filmed and the special aspects there it is. So I think there will be an audience for it, and maybe that's you. So try for yourself if you want. Book definitely takes the one against the 2019 adaptation, hands down. That's a big slide. And as far as the 1989 adaptation, who did it better? The book or the movie? They both did it very well. And if you have a chance, especially because I think it's on Prime right now, for free, watch the movie if you haven't. But if you are going to have to pick one, I would say go for the book with this one, because it has everything the book has and way more. This is, in my opinion, the best King novel. Is one of the ones that I actually read and reread, and it is hands down better than both adaptations, even though 1989 is definitely watch worthy. So that's what I had for you. See you tomorrow, and until next time, be the hummingbird.